personality? Okay, good question. I would say, number one, they need to understand the vastness of the field itself. When people think about, well, writing for businesses, how much could that be, or how much work could that be? Well, there's three arenas of there's three large arenas in commercial freelancing. One is called business to consumer. That's the kind of stuff that we see, ads in the paper, or direct mail pieces that come to our own house, or you go to a car dealership to test drive a car, and you can pick up a brochure. You go into your bank, and there's little brochures. Those are the kind of things where they're marketing directly to you. Well, that's a pretty wide swath of work right there. Second is business to business, and that's one business marketing to another business, and that's a huge arena. And anyone who's ever worked for a company, or perhaps in marketing for a company, knows the kinds of projects that get done. So there's a whole vast swath there as well. And you multiply that by all the hundreds of thousands of companies, large and small, that need to get these things done, that need to get their message out to their customers, whether they're consumers like you and me or other businesses. And finally, there's what's called internal communications, which is all of the stuff that a company would create to communicate with their own employees. So anyone, again, who's worked for a corporation, internal newsletters, training materials, reports, web content, HR policies, training manuals, whatever. I don't know if I said that. Goes on and on and on. And there are companies out there that's all they do. They specialize on helping a company create their internal communications material. So number one is understanding how much work is out there. Second thing is understand why people might say, well, this sounds really good, but why would a company hire me? Why don't they just do it themselves? Well, there's a lot of good reasons why a company would hire someone from the outside rather than do it themselves. Some of them are obvious, some of them are less obvious. Some of the more obvious ones are they don't have to pay salary and benefits. Okay, I personally don't mind paying my own benefits, and sometimes people hear that as a negative, but there's a huge upside to that if you happen to be a freelancer and entrepreneurial. Second thing is, and this is one of the less, people might not realize this or think about this, that is, that company buys exactly what they need only when they need it. So they don't have to, having someone on staff all the time, are they going to have enough work to keep them busy? This way, they get that resource that they need and only when they need it. Other benefits, you get a fresh outside perspective. Sometimes anyone who's worked for a company knows that you can put those blinders on and get tunnel vision and start making assumptions about your audience and not understanding things. Someone on the outside can bring a fresh perspective in there. And finally, you get a wide range of talent. Is any one writer good at writing everything? No. And so they can find the resource that is best. And I guess finally, I would say the thing that a commercial freelancer, a budding commercial freelancer, has going for them is that you have to understand the mindset of someone who might hire you, and that is this person, more often than not, is overworked, overextended, they've got way too much on their plate. When they have to find a writer, and that's going to be the first epiphany, is when you call somebody up and you're so afraid they're going to go, what? A writer? Who? For what? That you're going to think that they're going to think you're completely out of their mind. Like, why would I ever think? And they'll be like, well, we've used writers in the past, and you're going, wow, it's like really true. And but the thing you have to remember is these people, because of how much they've got going on, they don't want to spend a lot of time looking for a writer. So so fortune favors those who get their name out there and get in front of people a lot and even if, you don't have a lot of experience, you got to have some, because why, you wouldn't hire a plumber who says, well, I've never actually worked on anybody's plumbing, but, I think I'm pretty good at it. And that's part of kind of the process I talk about in the book is, building your portfolio and all that. But understand that, that buyer wants to find a solution to their problem very quickly, and they don't want to spend a lot of time. So, get out there and you can, especially if you're able to leverage past experience. A lot of people, 20 years in healthcare, 20 years in financial services, 20 years as an attorney, or as an engineer, or whatever. They know a particular industry. Even if they don't have a huge writing portfolio, if they can go to a company in that industry and say, I know your business, I know the culture, I know the corporate vernacular, I know how you talk, I know how you think, I know the kinds of projects you have to create, that's a huge plus to that company. Even if you can't show them, a 2-inch thick portfolio, they're going to understand, okay, there's going to be no learning curve here. There's no getting up to speed. They're already up to speed, and that's a huge plus. So I hope that I didn't go into too much detail there. I'm glad you asked that. My ebook strategy, and I'm sort of fine-tuning it, it really has yielded a lot of benefits. And again, now we're switching gears into sort of the self-publishing angle. Number one, I offer people who buy the book off my site a free ebook bonus for doing so. And that's to incent them to buy it off my site versus Amazon or the bookstores. Not that I mind if they buy it in Amazon or the bookstores, but obviously I make higher margins, on my website, so I want to give them a reason to shop there. And I also have started, and I started this on the Well-Fed Self-Publisher, I created some companion ebooks that went along with for purchase that went along with the hard copy book. So in a good example, in the case of my new book, the updated version of The Well-Fed Writer, which combined my first 2 original Well-Fed Writer titles, the book itself is $20. I came up with 2 additional ebooks, the Well-Fed the Deluxe Well-Fed Toolbox, which was an enhancement over an older toolbox that I had. It's 120 pages of forms and letters and contracts and email responses and all these tools that you would use in the course of running your business, and my take on them. And you want to adapt them, but you can see how I've done them. So it's a big help, along with 8 different reports and sample projects, and so it's a pretty cool resource. And I sell that, if people buy it along with the book, I sell that for $20 extra as a download, or $30 if they buy it separately. I also created something called the timeline, the Well-Fed Writer timeline, and basically it gives people a sense of, okay, if I'm starting out in the business, these are the steps I need to take. So I've culled the process out of the book, and then for each step I refer them back to the page number in the book where there's more detail. So it gives people a tool that allows them to get the 30,000-foot view of, okay, this is what I need to do to get started. So they're very useful tools, and that one is $15 if they bought it separately, or $8 if they bought it with the book. So bottom line, $20 book. For an extra $28, they get these 2 ebooks. And I also offer the ebook version of the hard copy book as a possible option as well. And bottom line, probably 2/3 to 3/4 of the people who buy the book off the site will get one or more or all, of those as well. And so I've effectively upped my profit margin on the main book by an additional 20-25%. And I don't say this to brag and to tell people how much money I'm making. I say this for those people out there who are considering writing a how-to book and they're considering self-publishing it. I would ask them, what could you add in addition to this hard copy book that would have some value that people would be willing to pay extra for, because it's a great strategy. And just a final note, and kind of a PS to all this, I self-publish all my books, and this particular book, my upfront production costs to create a 2,000 unit print run was about $13,000. I released the book at the end of June to only my list